Good afternoon, Knicks Nation. Welcome to the next edition of Sky Hoops Knicks Streams. To join the conversations, drop your comment in the chat, and we'll be, engaging you momentarily. I'm going to be bringing in our panelists so that we can delve into this discussion about the Knicks. And of course, if you guys want to participate, I'll be dropping the link so that you can become a panelist in this episode as well. With that being said, I'm going to welcome my main man, Dream, to the broadcast. What's going on, Dream? What's going on?
What's going
Talk.
on? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. Would have been better after a win, but ultimately, I'm not too upset. I guess that's one of those good losses in a way. I guess you could chalk it up to.
True, true.
But outside of that, our guys they somewhat came to play. But there were aspects that they didn't take advantage of earlier on in the game that could have maybe put it away even further and not allowed them to stay in the game so much. We knew Phoenix was going to come in and do their thing because, like we said, we ended the program last time saying they are actually top 10 in both categories. So, they're one of those sneaky teams up there that people forget that they actually are playing a little bit of defense this year. So, that being said, this is another one against, like I said, those two category top 10 teams. We ended up losing, but it was a tight game, and eventually we'll end up flipping those, in the positive for us. But I guess we can tag team this until other people show up. So I'll send it back to you.
For
Plus,
sure, for sure, for sure. The thing about this game in particular, I mean, going into this game, we talked about certain tactics and strategies, and of course, at this point we're going to be nitpicking, but we did talk about it going into that, and that is, picking spots where you're going to double team or trap or take the ball out of Chris Paul's hands because he can make the engine run. This team was good without him, but they're better with him. You know what I'm saying? And as a result of that, he was the difference. He was the difference in the team, in the game. Of course, Booker did his thing and he scored as we expected him to
as we
do.
expected. Yeah.
But Chris Paul was the X factor in this game. And so it showed
Yeah.
at the end of the game, I think that the opportunity to trap him was there. Is that they didn't pick it at the right spots. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And and,
Yeah.
and I know I'm nitpicking, but again, you gotta when the game is on the line in those crunch moments, that's when you gotta take it out of his hands and
Yeah.
force
Yeah.
somebody else to make those kind of decisions.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna eat too much of the bone. I'm gonna drop the bone down to my man Bill Stradamus so that he could give us his take, and then we could, chop it up some more. So take it away, Bill Stradamus.
Well, the streak had to end. We knew that at some point. And on previous shows, we all, to a degree, were saying, that might be the game that we didn't get. However, the streak was rolling, and we were at nine. We saw them at the tenth game, and we felt, well, why not? Let's keep it going. And basically, we started off very well against them, but we couldn't sustain it. And we started off playing, we basically didn't play our game. Although we started off real well against them, we weren't playing our game. We weren't playing our game. We were playing their game, and we
Yeah.
just so happened to be doing it a little better than they were in that first half. And basically, they came back. They showed us that they're a upper echelon team. And more than likely, that game, we'll learn from that going forward. We're going to learn from that. Now, I'm not going to nitpick, but to say overall, it was our defense that didn't show up.
Mhm.
That's, bottom line, it was our defense. And then our top players didn't have their A games, so to speak. And we
Yeah.
were still in it. We were still in the game with them. So, I'm not as, the world is not coming to an end. We're gonna be all right, and we should start another streak tonight. So that being said, I was just looking at a video of some dude dunking, and I was gonna post I was gonna send it to Dream. I was gonna send it in the chat to Dream. This kid, I'm gonna still do it anyway after the broadcast. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just throw up a lob over the head because I see him coming. And go ahead, Dream. Take it.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna drop it like Obi. I'll just catch it out of nowhere with the left and rock this rim real quick. You know, and that might just be my one highlight for the night. Don't get too hyped. So, I guess when it comes down to this game, they had us on cloud nine and reference an Eminem lyric. Snap back to reality. Oops, there goes gravity. So we came falling down just a little bit, like we said, to these teams that are technically they're a little bit better than we are. They're at a place in their progression where we want to be and we will be. We're definitely on that path. So like I said, it was a good game to measure ourselves up against them. We did some things against them that we just kind of wish we could have executed all the way through, especially those last 2 minutes of the game. Outside of those last 2 minutes, we kind of did take Paul away most of the game. But Booker, man, oh man, this guy was just precise. Like, what you wanted? You want it from this corner, bam. You want it from this corner, bam. You want it from the free throw line, bam. I drive it, I dunk it, all over the place, man. The guy was smooth all night, man. So big ups to him. He's like one of my, definitely in my favorite player category, of the young stars in the league. So, I just wish, because we kind of slowed him down towards the end of the game. He really got off in the first half. I think he had 20 or something like that in the first half. But it was just, man, everybody that tried to touch him was catching that fire, man. It was crazy. But outside of that, it took Randall a little while to get started. He was kind of a little lethargic in the first half, and then he started to come alive a little bit in the third. But, it was just bad defense in certain areas of the game. Like, end of the first quarter, the last minute of the first quarter, I think we fouled 2 guys from a 3-point line or something like that. Yeah. It was like, why are we keeping them in the game? Why are we committing these silly fouls? Like when we have a nice lead. So those little things there. And again, again, it was too many and ones in the third quarter. Every time they went to the basket, it was like an and one. It felt like so. Those type of things just pushed us back instead of building a lead or staying with it. Most of these quarters we ran even until the end, and then that was it. But outside of that, it was just Bridges and Booker in the beginning. And then, like we said, in the fourth quarter, we said we didn't want to hear these guys, but these guys came alive at the right time for them. It was like Cameron, Carter, and Kaminsky. It was like out of nowhere, all of a sudden, these guys are affecting the game, And, in the end, when you leave it up to Chris Paul, and the game is in his hands, 9 times out of 10, man, he just, and he even fumbled one of them on the way up. Like, whoa, and he still got
one against Randall. Yeah.
So it's like, those kind of things. And then that was it. He just iced it. So, we'll make adjustments. We'll figure it out. But, it's not like we didn't step into this game, and we haven't stepped into these games against these top-tier teams recently and gotten blown out. We're in the games all the way to the end, which is what we want, and that's what we want to see. So, that being said, I slided across the table to Santana.
So, we started the game where we were, picking up Chris Paul full court. Peyton started out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton started out that way, which is good. You know what I mean? And then there were moments in that first half where they they brought in a second guy to flash him to get the ball out of his hand. And that's okay, but they never went back to it in the second half. Or at least I don't remember them going back to that strategy in the second half, especially in those moments that are most critical, when the game is on the line. You know what I mean? Yes, of course, that's a risk that you take, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. And you got to take those risks early. You got to take them out from 94 feet out, because that gives your defense time to rotate. And also, you want to steer the ball in the direction of the guy that has the least handle. So if you're going to leave a spot open, that's where you're going to leave it open so that it gets to that player, and then you can rotate accordingly and do what you need to do. So I saw that as a gap in the fourth quarter where they didn't do that. Yes, I know they had Derrick Rose in there. They had Quickly in there. And that's when you have to do it. When the game is on the brink, is there for the taking, that's when you got to throw these unexpected moves, okay? Because what happens is when you do these in the first half, you give time for the team to make adjustments at halftime so that in the second half, they're prepared for it. So you don't show all your cards in the first half. You show them in the second half, where they have to make adjustments on the fly. Okay. And that's something I learned in coaching myself, because it happened to me in one game. In one game, I didn't expect a move, and it caught my point guard off guard. It created a turnover. We lost the game. That's the only game that happened. But again, that was the element of surprise, because we hadn't seen it throughout the first half. So when the game was on the line in the second half, that's when they deployed that strategy. They caught they caught our team off guard. From that point on, when I coached any other, against any other team, I would have a certain game plan for the first half, and assuming that game plan is still running and there's nothing, they're not taking advantage of it in the second half, we run with it. But if they start, making adjustment where they're making their comeback, then I employ or deploy the second half strategy. And when I did that during a playoff game where we were able to, do like a triangle and two defense on a team that had two primary scorers. And man, we locked them down in that second half. That kid that was their primary scorer was calling the coach and say, I don't know what to do. And the coach had no answer. We locked them down. That kid scored 6 points in a playoff game. We took them completely out. So that's about strategy. That's about timing. That's about going out there and knowing, when to pick your spots to employ something that you want the other team not to be able to adjust to. So that's something that hopefully Tibbs will learn from, in terms of, you go back to the tape, you look at, okay, who you obviously Booker got off. Okay. Booker got off. Even when Bullock was on him, the problem with Bullock is he was in foul trouble too.
Yeah. Oh, man, you understand?
Exactly. So, the challenge with Booker, with Bullock was, we need him to be his, himself, but we also have to understand you're gonna get in foul trouble, and you need other guys to step up defensively. Now, what these Phoenix did is they double Randall whenever he got the ball. That's why he was so ineffective in terms of scoring. You know what I'm saying? So they deployed that strategy. They picked their spots. Monty coached a really good game yesterday.
Very good. Yes, he did.
He really coached a damn good game.
Yes, he did.
And now that's something that Tibbs has to go back to the tape, say, okay, this is where we need to make this is where we got to do this. Those are the things. So with that being said, go ahead, Bill. Go ahead, rock, brother.
Well, I agree with both of you stated. However, my only observation with regard to our players, our individual players, both Randall and Barrett tried to do the hero ball thing when their games were off, as opposed to just sticking with the defense and moving the ball around. And although we had more assists than they did, we could have had even more assists. I think we beat them by 1 or 2 assists, I believe. What was it? We had 24. They had 23. However, it was certain parts of the game where Randall would just, he'd have the ball, wouldn't swing it to anyone, and he's taking a shot. Same thing with Barrett. They both did that in situations where we could have cut the lead. And this is after, Phoenix came back, and took the lead, what have you, and then we're trying to catch up to them. And it seemed like we just fell short. And then to add in those 4-point plays that we were giving up, that, every time we would cut it down to 3 or 2, then these guys would hit some unbelievable shot. Yeah. And then one of those players, one of them guys who was terrible in the first half, dude woke up in the second half. Who was that? Was that Johnson?
Yeah, Cameron Johnson.
Cameron Johnson. Yeah. Because in the first half, he shooting. I was watching it with Pops. And Pops was like, let him shoot. Let him shoot. He can't hit the side of a bar. And the second half, Pops was saying that. I'm like, you better stop saying that now, because this dude, he's just started hitting. Then it seemed like, and then Payne. And I'm looking at what these guys had. Payne only had 11. It seems like he had more. Johnson seems like he had more. It's just that Johnson, I think, had all of his in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter, that was the problem. You know?
And Payne seemed like he had it throughout the game, but he only had 11 points. And
it was all in the first half.
Yeah. Yeah. Along with Booker. See, and then when Booker was just unstoppable in that first half. So then when Bridges wakes up, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Bridges. And then it had me thinking we could have had him.
You know what? We didn't talk about that, but he's probably we always talk about the one player who probably has a little gripe against the Knicks. It was him. And we missed that because we had a shot to draft. I had it written down. We had a shot to draft when we picked Knox instead, and this guy ended up, whatever. But it's funny. We blanked on that one. But
but like I said, we lost to a better team, basically. And I think we're a special player away from being able to compete with them, 10 out of 10 games. Yeah. So we're getting there. And I'm not gonna beat up the coach or even the players who didn't play well or anything. Because also our 5 spot, we didn't get much out of the 5 spot. I don't think we had any block shots. Let me see.
One or something. I think we had one block shot. Yeah, but nothing memorable.
But it wasn't by any of the big men, though, the block shot. And I think they combined for something like 6 rebounds. Noel had 3. Gibson had 3. And even with all of that, we were still there.
Still right there.
We were still right there. So, let me lob it back over to you.
Oh, I appreciate that, and I take it. I take it too. I take the contact and the and one since we was giving up all that tonight. I might as well get my own. So, like we said, ultimately, it's a good loss. It's as good as a loss could be. You were competitive in the game. You made clear and obvious mistakes. You could have played better in certain areas and certain aspects of the game, and your bad mistakes were just bad timing mistakes. And in the end, you gave it up to a guy who's being the MVP of his team, Chris Paul.
Right.
Finished out with those 7 points, right? When his game was on the line, as much as we took him away most of the game and we rendered him almost like we felt like ineffective, the last 2 minutes, man, this guy just came alive and finished it for them, and that's what it is, But as far as stats wise, 3-pointers made, they made 2 more than us. Okay, that's not really that crazy, more from the free throw line. Since we fouled them so much, we gave them +6 at the free throw line. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
+6 makes. The attempts were a couple more than that. Like you said, the blocks, they had 6 blocks to our 1. So normally where our defense can take advantage of some things and then maybe flip it back to the offense and maybe initiate some runs and stuff like that. We didn't have that in this game, particularly. And basically our turnovers, even though Phoenix had 1 more, our turnovers turned into fast break points for them because that fast break category was 16-4 for Phoenix. So we didn't do much with the turnovers that they had, is what it looks like. And what this entirely boils down to is that their second half points and our second half points. They had 62 and we had 47, and that was it. We just didn't match that offense. Plus, our defense didn't really come to play the entire game. And that's what happens when you play these teams. These things could have lent to a blowout, 15-point blowout, but we saved face with that. At least,
Right.
and the important thing is, okay, you take this loss off a 9-game win streak. You take this loss, but we have a quick turnaround. We can get back on the bike and start riding again tonight, flip off a couple of games before we start heading out, into a serious West Coast, stand that we got coming up. So, outside of that, I'll toss it back up to Santana. And I see he popped back in.
Yeah. The transition defense. The transition defense was our Achilles heel. And we know that. We know that for every game that we play, we just can't run with everybody. Now, we were able to get over on that because of our 3-point shooting that was been so hot in the 9-game stretch, which is also an anomaly because that's not who we are. We become that. We become more consistent But the reality is, you can live and die by the 3 too. You know what I'm saying? If you're not hitting that 3, then what happened against Phoenix happens to us as well. You know what I mean? Where we couldn't get those timely 3-point shots when we needed it most. And
Right.
so, this is why we have to be that much more disciplined on the things we can control. We can control transition defense. We can control pace. We can control the clock. We can do those things if we play smart. Now, hopefully, if we come out there and we hit our shots, then that takes us to another level. But we have to have that part of our game tight every single game, and then hopefully the 3-point shot will take us over the top, and hopefully, we'll minimize transition from other teams, and then we'll be in a better place to win. But again, like you just said, Dream, it's about, okay, learning from that game, chalking it up as a loss. We expected that to a certain extent. Learning from it, that's the key. Learning from it, making the adjustment so that we can go into the Chicago game and really, lock it in. So with that being said, I want to drop it down to Mr. H2O so he could give us his take against, the Knicks versus the Suns.
Okay. Thank you, Santana.
You got it. Yes, we can.
Yeah. That game came down to poor defense. And most importantly, I looked at that Suns team, and I'm like, Michael Bridges, Cameron Johnson, they're not all stars. All they got is Booker and CP3. Now, we went out there with low energy. Okay? Our main man has to be our main man every game. As he goes, so go the Knicks. 90 to 95% of the time. There are very few times when we can allow ourselves to have our top scorer score under 20 points, and we're going to win that game. And then, him and then Barrett, Barrett every once in a while scores in, the high teens, and we still win. But when Randall scores under 20, we're in trouble. And then Michael Bridges, please. And then Cameron Johnson hits 3 threes in a row, and that was the killer. Because you knew for a fact, I don't know that we knew that for a fact, but I expected that once CP3 got back in the game in the last 5 minutes, because they were saving him for the last 5 minutes of the game, he was going to be the game changer. It was going to be win or lose with the ball in his hands. And he did it. He did his thing. But the last 2.5 minutes, I think he scored about 8 or 9 or 11 points. I don't know what it was. But it was everything he threw up, wasn't it? Even
literally.
BS that he didn't call. They shouldn't count that if he doesn't call it. They shouldn't count that crap. And we missed a critical rebound in the end. Had we had that rebound, things might have looked a little bit different. But that made it. That's when that kid came back and hit another 3. Okay, and then they stretched the lead that we could never, close that gap anymore than what we did, again, we given up too many points, too many 30-point quarters. And in this game, it was the 3rd and the 4th. So I don't know. They were coming back on the second game of a back-to-back. We had 2 days off. And I don't know whether the layoff hurt us more than them playing the back-to-back. Because Randall had no energy. I mean, look at him. 18 points. 18 points. Derrick Rose scored more than our starting 5. Okay? So, there you go. Emmanuel quickly did what he could. Okay, Reggie Bullock did what he could. So those three guys did what they were supposed to do, what we expect them to do, game in and game out. I don't want 22 from Derrick Rose all the time, but whenever he gives it to me, hey, I'll take him. But for 17 and 18 respectively for Barrett and Randall, okay, 6 rebounds from Randall, 4 assists from Randall. Sorry. They don't even put down the turnovers here, which was another issue. So we need that. We need that little bit of a wake-up call to see that, hey, there are teams out there that there's a reason why they're 42 and whatever it was. What are they? 43, 2 and 7 and 18 at the time, and now they're 43 and 18. So that's it. They just their star players come through when they're supposed to come through, and we can't take nights off. We can't take plays off. Okay, every possession has to generate something positive. Either you go to the line, you hit a 2, you hit a 3. I don't care, or you fight for an offensive rebound. But you can't just chuck it up and start running back on defense. But again, we started the game real good, man. We outscored the first quarter. We even with them in the second quarter. But, the third and the fourth quarter, we just ran out of gas. So that's what it is. And again, what was this? This is a 6-game homestand, right?
Yeah.
And we are 4-1. And I know I said it, man. If I'm 5-1 out of this one, even if I'm 4-2 out of this homestand, I'm feeling good about them. So we have an opportunity to be 5-1 after tonight, and let's hope for that to happen. Okay. Other than that, everybody contributed. Elf, I guess they didn't play him enough. He played him 15 minutes. He gave all the time to Derrick Rose. And that's another concern, that at 32, 33 years old, he's using him a little bit too much. He got to spread those minutes. But he's the guy that goes to the basket, man. He breaks down defense. He goes to the basket.
Yeah.
He takes that challenge. Hey, you all think you can do what you can do? I can do what you do too. And he's making his shots. And let me see, he's getting assists. He got 6 assists in that game.
Yeah, I think that's why Tibbs played him. He was facilitating, and he made a couple of great passes too. There was one, and because he has a habit of leaving his feet and making the pass, but he did one. He left his feet, faked it one way, and threw it under the basket. So I was like, okay, well, I guess that's okay as long as it works. No, he passed it to one of the big men under the basket.
Okay.
After faking, he faked it like he was going to throw it out to somebody at the 3-point line, and then was able to fake it and throw it while in the air. And I just thought that was
putting it behind his back under the basket.
That's when he got the rebound. He had 6 rebounds as well. Rose had a good game. He had a solid game. 6 rebounds, 6 assists to go with his 22 points.
Yeah, and he hit Toby right in his hands when he take those shots.
Yeah. So
yes,
he was facilitating.
Yes, he did it all.
However, we needed to stand on our defensive throne, and as stated by Santana in the beginning, you weren't on yet. H2O. Peyton was picking up CP3 full court.
94 feet.
Yes, he did. Yes, he was. And that's probably what got them that slow start. Because I stated earlier that's why they had their slow start.
Yeah.
But we weren't technically playing our game. It just so happened we were playing their game and doing better at that than they were for a short period of time.
Just to add to that point, Had we done that in the third and the fourth quarter,
Exactly.
we might have had a different outcome.
Exactly.
Because in the third and fourth quarter, of course, Rose is not picking people up 94.
Right. No, he's not.
So he can't. He gotta play offense. You just gotta put the defense back here with some help behind him.
We spoke about that earlier, and in terms of employing that strategically in the third or fourth quarter when the game is on the line, but also when you got timeouts, that's when you do defensive substitutions, offensive substitutions. You know what I'm saying? So that you can employ that strategy right then and there if you have to as a last resort.
And he's not doing that yet, but maybe that's yet to come. He may have to go to that.
He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to.
Everything we talked about in here that he needs to do eventually happens. So I don't know. I think they're listening to our conversation.
It's in the universe. We gotta keep throwing it. We gotta keep throwing it.
Another observation that I made, I think that and I hadn't said this in previous games, we were missing Burks for that game. We could have really used Burks in that game.
Yeah.
But you play with who comes to the game. So
excellent observation.
I
thought that for the last 4 games while we were winning, Burks had become an afterthought. He was like, oh, wonderful if we have him, but we don't need him. But now we came into a game where, whoa, wait a minute, we needed that because we were also missing shots there in the last. We ended up with what, 24 and 23 points.
Right.
So we was going downhill, 36, 27, 24, 23. The output, was not there. So Burke, woo, man, he would have put on a show. He would have definitely done his little bit fourth quarter heroics, his 14, 16 points, and we would have been talking a different conversation here today. I mean, it's great, like I said before, that we're 4-1, and in the last 5 games, and with the opportunity to go 6-1 in this homestand, and like what is it? 10 out of the last 11 games. Whoa, the Knicks. that's like. It's indescribably delicious. All right. So that's what I have. Take it away, Dream.
Well, I think it's Bill Stradamus. Your turn or no?
Yeah, Bill
Stradamus.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so my turn. But as we stated earlier, before you got on, overall, it was our defense that let us down, and that was the reason why they won. Understand, for the game, the Suns, we allowed them. They shot 54% for the game, so we can't allow. If we're letting teams shoot 54, that's almost 55% shooting. More than likely, we're not going to win those games unless we have a streak of hot shooting from several players, which we didn't have down the stretch of that game. So, basically, that's all that was my basic observations for that game. And I see the Prodigy stepped into the building. So I'm gonna give you a nice hook pass over the top down to you, young man.
Thank
and
you.
Give us your take on the last game.
Thank you. And I'm going to do a reverse Mama Slamma Jamma. Salute everybody. Hope everybody's doing okay. And my analysis of the game, the perimeter defense was awful. Also, we didn't find our man. Chris Paul took over the fourth quarter. CP3 was CP clutch, and D Book was hotter than a furnace. Post ups, mid range J's, and ones, vicious jams. We couldn't contain them, and also, to me, we lost the game in the second quarter. We were up by 15. It was our time to put our foot on their neck. We allowed them to hang in. We didn't move the ball early. We didn't move the ball consistently, and we took hero ball shots. Derrick Rose had a great game. His floater game was working, attacking the rim. He had a great game, Derrick Rose. But we lost that game. We lost the game because lack of IQ down the stretch, and their other than Derrick Rose, I felt their bench outplay our bench if you take away Derrick Rose. So, and that's what happened. And also, Cam Johnson got red hot in that fourth quarter. And Monty Williams, in my opinion, now coach Tibbs. That's my analysis. For that, I'm going to do an alley-oop to my man Dream.
Oh, I appreciate that, alley-oop. And you know what? I'm gonna do something illegal. I'm gonna grab the left side of the rim, hang on it first, and then jam it with the right. So, but yeah, I'm in a technical type of mood. So, I think everybody did a fantastic job breaking down all the different aspects of the game. So, I'm just gonna speak on a couple of the streaks that were snapped in this game. One from Knicks was their 2-game road losing streak that was snapped, and the other ones are by the Knicks. 9-game win streak obviously snapped. 7-game home win streak snapped. Noel's 10-game two block win streak snapped. And actually, we had a 5-game win streak against the Western Conference going, which I didn't even know until I looked it up. Wow. So that was also snapped. But so that was just a couple of things. Hey man, we got to enjoy a lot of these things for a couple of weeks, and we should all be proud about that. And that's pretty much all that really has to be said about that game before we transition over to Chicago, because we have a chance to put our foot in the ground and reestablish a new win streak tonight. So, like we all said, it's nice to have these 2 games ahead of us, Chicago, and then ultimately Houston down the road. Like we said, we don't want to look ahead too much, but cupcake teams kind of help at this point in the season, especially because Chicago is coming into this game without Levine, so that he's been giving us a problem. I mean, he gives everybody a problem. He's not really a problem. He's kind of like Devin Booker. You expect him to get off, But Chicago's been 4-6 in their last 10. And they've been trading wins and losses in their last 5, and it's kind of like a weird collection of wins and losses. Like they've beaten the Bostons of the world and Charlotte and Miami once, and then they lost to Miami because they had a double-double. But then they also lost to like Cleveland. So very sporadic kind of weird play coming out of them. But they are scratching and clawing, trying to stay in that fight for that 10 seed. And desperate teams are dangerous. So we need to come with our game. Bring that energy that we normally bring for whatever happened in the last game. That's fine. It is what it is. We'll put it aside, right? Because we stayed competitive even though we didn't have the high energy. But let's bring our normal energy to this game tonight and do what we do. There's no reason
I'll be right back.
No problem. And, there's no reason we can't walk out of here with a win. And I kind of feel like we should, reestablish ourselves. We got a little bit of help this week with some of the other teams losing. Sometimes we get into that scoreboard watching and stuff like that. So early on, that really wasn't working for us. But these last couple of days, some of those teams have lost. So we really, even though we took a loss, we didn't fall at all in the standings. It didn't affect us in that aspect. So outside of that, I don't want to say too much. So I'll toss it over and Santana, take it away.
Yeah, Chicago is a team that's obviously, like you said, Dream. They're desperate. They're vying for that 10th spot. The trade that they made to bring in or shore up the center position was an indication of that they weren't just gonna tank it in for the rest of the season. So yeah, I do expect that they're gonna fight, claw, scratch, and bite their way into that 10 spot if they can. And the thing about Chicago is that they match up well against us. Every time we play them, it's a tough game. It's not a cakewalk or a walk in the park. It's not that kind of game. So we got to come out there and we got to play hard. We got to get back to our defense, our staple, our where our strength is, and also we got to maintain or at least get them to defend us a little bit. We got to get them in foul trouble. We got to pull them out and put them in positions where they're not accustomed to defending us, because then that way the game plays into our favor. Again, you guys have said it throughout this broadcast. When we started out against Phoenix, we weren't playing our pace. We were playing their pace. We got to get back to playing our pace of basketball, because our pace of basketball is a recipe for playoff basketball. That's when the game slows down. You don't be seeing people running and gunning all over the place during the playoffs, because every possession as H2O is critical. Every possession counts. And you want to do this now, prepping into the playoffs, so that you get your team into a rhythm. Yes, we had a 9-game winning streak, but in that 9-game winning streak, we were giving up 30-point quarters here and there. So that's something that we really have to watch moving forward. We need to get back to under 30. If we could keep them up to 25, 26, that's our pocket. That's our defensive pocket. That's where we need to be. And so, I'm throwing it out there into the universe. And again, tonight when I get down there, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go talk to Tibbs and say, hey, Tibbs, let's go. Let's go. Let's tighten up that D. Come on, Tibbs. Who are you? You a defensive coach. We got to hold teams down to no more than 25 points per quarter. Maximum. That's got to be it. Anything less than that is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to drop it down to my man Bill Stradamus so he could pick it up from there. Give us your take on the recipe or the game plan for the Chicago game tonight.
Well, as one of you guys stated earlier, Zach is not playing. However, they still have some guys who have given us problems. Kobe White, he's playing. Kobe White was a problem, has been a problem to us every time we played them.
Yes.
Laurie Marketing, the guy that we kind of trying to steal from them, or hoping that we can somehow get him. He's coming off the bench though. And don't forget this old school player, and I call him old school because he must be, I think he might be my age, and I'm talking about Thaddeus Young. He's always a problem for us. So we got to understand that they're coming in just like we are. We're coming in with the bodies who are available. So are they. And as stated by Santana, they give us a problem every time we play them, regardless of who's on the floor and who's not. For whatever reasons, they just pose a problem to us. They match up well against us. So we have to keep that in mind. We have to still come out with that defense first, defense second, and the offense will follow. We have to keep that mindset, move the ball around, and if we should start out slow, we cannot have our top guns, we cannot have Randall and Dream's little brother trying to play hero ball to get us back into it.
Say his name.
Mr. Barrett, Dream's little brother. Our big men, hopefully we can get back on track tonight because let's see, who's their big man?
Vucevic.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
They got him at the
He's solid.
Oh, yeah.
He's solid.
Oh, okay. So Noel and Taj Mahal, they're gonna have their hands full tonight.
Taj Mahal.
If he can stretch that forward too.
Yeah, they're gonna have their hands full. So what we got to do is what we do best. That's defense. Move the ball around, limit our turnovers, get back on that transition of defense, especially close out on the 3-point shooters, and we should be able to pick up our 5th win of the 6-game homestand. With that being said, let me throw it back down. I see the young prodigy. He came back into the building. Let me throw it back down to you. What do you think our keys are for tonight, young man?
Well, I'm going to splash it from long range. My keys, rebound. 2, watch out for Daniel Tice and Nikola Vucevic and Kobe White from downtown. They like to stroke it. Also, we got to contain Laurie Markkinen, and we got to also guard the 3-point line because Chicago shoots around 37% from downtown, so they like shooting that 3. So we got to watch out for that. And we also, I expect a bigger game for Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. They didn't play well against Phoenix, so I expect them to play. I expect Julius Randle to play like an MVP today, and I expect RJ Barrett to show him to ball out today, to be more aggressive. Derrick Rose, this may be a huge game for D Rose because he was a former Bull. Don't forget though. So this may be like a turn back the clock type game for Derrick Rose though. So and Phibbs and Gibson were part of the Bulls too. Phibbs is the Bulls head coach, and Gibson was part of the Bulls too with D Rose. So our bench has to outplay their bench, and we need to get to the line. We only took 10 free throws last game. That's not enough. We got to get to the line. And we got to, like I said, watch out for the shooters. And we just got to jump at them early. let's jump on the Bulls early. We jump on them, we keep them down. Because remember, the Bulls are trying to make the play-in tournament. Don't forget, too. So that's a big game for both teams. And so we just got to take care of our business. And like you said, go 5-1 this homestand. Because our road trip is very, after Houston, gets very tough. So if we can go out here on the right note and play New York Knickerbocker basketball, we should be good. And Thibs has to outcoach Billy Donovan. I see H2O on the fast break, and I'm gonna do a dish to H2O for the fast break.
Nice.
Thank you. Listen, first of all, I want everybody to put your hands together and give a great round of applause to the Chicago Bulls. Okay? Out of the last 5 games, they've beaten the Celtics, the Hornets, and Miami. Okay?
Yeah.
So that keeps them down and keeps us, being that we lost, we got the Hawks lost 1. The Celtics has lost 3 in a row.
The Thunder.
The Hornets lost. The Pacers lost. The Wizards lost. So we still 2 games ahead. Well, a game was tied with the Hawks, but 2 games ahead of everybody else overall. And that is due to the Chicago Bulls. So now, thank you very much. Now let's give you what we need to do now is take care of you. And so that we can keep pace with, our own, expectations. We don't have to worry about what the Hawks are doing. We just have to keep on winning.
Right.
Okay. And let the chips fall where they may. And as far as I'm concerned, all of those things, of the one that I'm mostly concerned about of everybody that you mentioned, Prodigy, G Money is basically Vucevic. He used to burn us. He was with Orlando.
Orlando Magic, yeah.
And we couldn't stop him. We couldn't stop him then. So, we just gotta, I guess that's the one person, just like every team has, the one person that is gonna be okay if he gets his 25. It's just to hold down the other, intangibles. The guy that is going to make a name for himself today on the garden floor. But we don't know who that person is going to be. We don't know whether that's going to be Valentine. We don't know whether that's going to be Kobe White. We don't know whether it's going to be marketed. Okay? I'm hearing the Thaddeus Young's minutes are being diminished. I wish they play him.
Not me.
He's 80 years old, right? He's 80 years old.
He's 20 years old when he plays against us.
He plays their best against the Knicks, huh?
Yeah.
You give me Valentine all day. I'll deal with Valentine all day.
You're rather Valentine, huh?
I just saw a blooper of Valentine the past couple of days where he came up the floor and he tried to shoot a Curry 3 and airballed it completely, and everybody was looking at him like, where did you get the audacity to even try to do something like that?
Man.
I'll take Valentine over Thaddeus.
Over Thaddeus. Okay, well, I'm looking at his stats, and he's just like, 10, 6. Then he got an 18 and a 14 and a 13 game. Then he went down to 5, 17, 2, 29. So he's inconsistent. Okay? He's scoring about 12 points a game. What are we scared about Thaddeus Young about?
Because the game's against us where he gets off. He got like 18 and 17 against us. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah. We don't need to give up those kind of games to him.
Okay. Well, he had a 10-point game against the Heat the day before yesterday. So
we ain't the Heat. For some reason, he gets a sweet spot on us.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that that doesn't happen. So yeah, that's basically my take. I think the one consistent player that they have is Nikola Vucevic.
Nick Vucevic, yeah.
Yeah, right? Okay, yeah. I thought that was his first name.
Wasn't his first name is Nikola, but we call him Nick Vucevic sometimes.
Okay, yeah, because it's almost like Nikola with the Jazz, right? What's his name?
Jokic, yeah.
I mean, Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets, actually.
Anyway, yeah. Other than that, relatively, let me see, going back to their games, what is it that they're averaging as a team? 100 something.
111.
I'll give it to Dream to give me those stats.
Okay, appreciate the pass, and I'll also step back, hit this logo 3, and say bye bye to the nice guy. So, you guys mentioned it, man. Everybody that was on my watch list, you guys broke down. Like, I don't really have anything to say. I just had them in 2 different categories. Where I had White and Markkinen as watched them from the outside, and then I had Vucevic and watched them from the inside, and that's pretty much it. I don't need to get into any numbers or anything like breaking down wise, because you guys did a fabulous job with those guys. Outside of that, they're all just going to be random guys because it's going to be somebody out of the blue. If we handle our business against those 4 guys, that's it. We just handle our business against 4 guys. There's nobody left that they have firepower wise that's consistent or on a level that we need to worry about scoring. Outside of that, we need to, like we've been doing in these last couple of games, we flip the narrative, right? They have to worry about what we bring to the table and how they're going to stop us. I.e., how they're going to stop our bench. Our bench has been really running hard on teams. So, our streak hasn't ended. I think we've been I don't think that being outscored by anybody's streak ended. I got to double check the last couple games. But our bench has been fabulous, and that's mostly to Rose and quickly, from on and on. But there are these guys that do contribute to the bench. Randomly we'll get Obi. We had the 9 points in the 9 minutes for one night and stuff like that. So we forget our rebounding and we control a little bit of down low. Maybe we'll get I don't know, get a Henson sighting. Maybe I don't even know. But if we get some help just running guys off the 3-point line without fouling guys on the 3-point line, that'll help too. I don't know why they got into that habit. And another thing, I've kind of been watching it all season long. It annoys me when it happens at the wrong time. They do a lot of jump passing. I don't know why they want to leave their feet all the time to then pass afterwards. Some people have a skill where they can do that. Not everybody has that skill, and I just see it from the wrong people all the time on the Knicks. So, those type of things, because really what's kept teams in the games recently is the turnovers. And then what they do with those turnovers, they're flipping them into the points where we're not. So, outside of that, I will give my score. I'll be the first one. Chicago scores 111, but they give up 113. So that's a problem for them. And we love these teams like we always do that give up 110 plus. That's the sweet spot for us, for our offense. So, I'm going to go back to plus minus being 10 because when we were on our streak, that's what it was, minus the Phoenix game. So I'm going to go back to that number. So minus the 10 on Chicago leaves them at 101. We're about 107 scoring a game. So I'm going to add the 10, 117, 101, New York.
All right.
And I will toss it overhand lob since I guess we're going to finish with Santana. So I'll overhand lob it to Nostradamus.
Thank you, sir. And I'll take it, and I'll just dunk it. I'll just a regular dunk just to show that I still got some ups.
Okay.
Regular 2 hands
in the midget court.
Technically, you're 100% correct. I think that we're going to bounce back from the previous game, as I'm sure you guys feel the same way. We're playing a team who is fighting to get into the play-in. We recognize that, so we know they're coming with their A game with the players that they have. However, them not having Levine, I think, is good for us. That lends to us being able to effectively or more effectively be able to defend the guys who are there. And where Levine is the type that he can get off without any assistance from, say, a point guard or anything like that. Whereas now whoever's backing him up, they're probably not used to being in that role or thrust into that because he's been out for the past maybe 5-6 games or what have you. So with that being said, I did read the report, and Burks will not be back tonight. We thought that he would. Burks is not coming back because he's out. He's still out on. He's going to miss. I think I read his 7th or 8th game due to this COVID protocol, and I think that's what Levine is going through now. So he won't be back. and we're going to be trying to start a new streak. And with that being said, I think we're going to put the smack down on these brothers. So I say 122 to 107.
Mm.
122, 107. We're gonna put 15 on their heads and send them
Yeah.
home. With that being said, I'll slide it over to the prodigy. Give us the
Yes,
score,
sir.
young man.
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna do a beautiful finger roll.
All right.
For me, this is going to be. I expect New York to come out with anger and hunger. After last, we had a great 9-game win streak because the team played with so much passion. Against Phoenix, we had a great start, but we didn't finish the deal. We have to play 48 minutes. 48 minutes. If we can do that, then we should be good. I expect us to win this game in a rout because even though the Bulls do score a lot of points, like what Dream said, they're not a very good defensive team. So if we could come out here, move that rock, swing passing, get open shots, and also Julius Randle becomes more aggressive, we could take smarter shots. If RJ Barrett can get to the paint, because look, RJ can shoot the three, but he took a lot of crazy threes, so he needs to play a little bit smarter. And our bench can contribute, then I think we'll win. I'm going to say New York 125, Chicago 100. I think it's going to be a blowout. Blowout. That's what I think is going to happen. And for that,
Nice.
I'm going to do a no-look pass to my man H2O.
Oh, thank you, G Money.
You're welcome.
The last time that we were having this conversation on our last podcast, I think I went with my heart as opposed to going with some realities about what we were facing with the Suns. But this time I think I'm going with more of the reality of what we're facing with the Bulls, and I'm expecting Julius Randle to score at least 10 more points, and so that would make it 118. And I was expecting R.J. Barrett to score at least 8 more points, which would make it 25. So that's another 18 added to the 110. It's going to be 128 to 105. Another blowout.
All right.
We need a blowout victory for once. We need one. So we don't have to have a hard stopping game, hard pump. We need a blowout victory for once.
So this is what I'm gonna say, and I can't emphasize this enough. But I'm gonna say it 3 times because I gotta throw it out there in the universe.
Right.
Transition defense.
Transition
Transition
defense.
Defense.
We got to play that transition defense because that's what Chicago's gonna want to do, especially with the fro man, because he got a big fro. their guard and stuff like. He likes to run, man.
Kobe
White. He likes
Kobe
to run.
likes to run. Yes, he does.
He likes to run. He likes to run, and that's his game. And I get it. That's how he gets off, and he's gonna try and do that. That's part of his game. And Vucevic, he's gonna try to do his thing. We gotta lock them down. We gotta stamp them down. I'm not gonna predict a blowout because for whatever reason, Chicago, it's like styles make fights, man. It doesn't matter how you do against everybody else. It doesn't matter what the Rock is cooking, or it doesn't matter. Okay, the bottom line is styles make fights, and for whatever reason, Chicago matches up well against us. We always end up playing them tight. Even if we run away, they come back. We end up in overtime. We pull it out. It's a tight game, but nonetheless, I am going to pick a score. I am going to pick the Knicks to win. I'm going to pick the Knicks to win 106 to 99. That's going to be my prediction for tonight's game.
All right.
And with that said, as we do in every episode that we close out, we always say, once a Knick, always a Knick. All right, fellas. We'll pick it up tonight during the chat, during game time. All right, fellas?
All right.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
Later.
Likewise.